Welcome to Slooh This Week on March 18th, 2024. Coming up, what's new at Slooh, what's up this week, our student spotlight and top tips in how to Slooh. What's new at Slooh? As we near our live star party to celebrate the total solar eclipse in 3 weeks' time on April 8th, educators still have time to attend our free professional development webinars, where Slooh educator Ross Glenn will teach you how to teach your students about solar eclipses. The first of March's webinars is on Thursday the 21st, with the second episode on Thursday, March 28th. Each week we highlight a great quest to start. We're recommending the Lunar Features quest to mark the penumbral lunar eclipse that occurs on the night of March 24th. In the quest, you'll learn about the various lunar features such as craters, seas, mountain ranges, valleys, and bright ray systems. You'll learn the best lunar phases to capture each type of feature. Let's take a look at what's up this week and some of your best observing opportunities. We'll start with the moon as ever, which was at first quarter phase on Sunday, March the 17th, and spends this week as a waxing gibbous moon as it builds towards a full moon on the night of March 24th. We've already mentioned there's a lunar eclipse this week, but it's a penumbral lunar eclipse, which is quite difficult to see because the moon only passes through Earth's partial shadow. You won't see a blood moon, which is what we see during a total lunar eclipse. But still, if you're in North or South America, do take a look at the moon from your backyard to see if you can spot the slight darkening of the moon. What about the planets this week? Well, the only two visible this week are the gas giant Jupiter and ice giant Uranus. All the others are still too close to the Sun in the sky to observe. Jupiter and Uranus are ending their viewing season, so they're getting low to the horizon and distant from Earth, so your images may be a bit blurry. What about deep sky objects this week? Well, with bright moonlight spoiling the view, you should stick to brighter objects such as stars and star clusters whenever the moon is above the horizon. Another celestial event that occurs this week is the March equinox on March 19th. At the moment of equinox, the sun shines directly on the equator and there'll be nearly equal amounts of day and night throughout the world. The equinox marks the first day of spring in the northern hemisphere and the first day of fall in the southern hemisphere. If you want to learn more about the equinox, you can watch one of our recorded star parties. This is the one I'd recommend, when we see an egg balancing on end. See if you can do it and see whether or not it really is something that can only be done on the equinox. In this week's Student Spotlight, we have an observation by a student from the Aga Khan School in Pakistan. Muiz asks a question in the observation they shared. Can you identify Pluto? Well, we know the dwarf planet is somewhere in this image, but it's impossible to spot its tiny white dot among the sea of stars. So how can you find Pluto? Well, that's exactly what one of my favourite quests teaches you. The In the Footsteps of Clyde Tombaugh walks you through the process he used to discover the tiny object back in 1930. You then use the same process to blink compare 2 or more images taken over successive nights to identify Pluto moving against the background stars. At the end of the quest, you'll create a time-lapse animation. If you complete the quest, make sure you share your animation as an observation and we may feature it in Student Spotlight. And don't forget, if you'd like to be featured in next week's Student Spotlight, share your own observations or quest posters with the community. In this week's How to Slooh, we're going to take a look at how you can check the status and conditions at each observatory. The first thing I do when I log into Slooh each morning is to check the observatory conditions the previous night by visiting the telescope pages. My first stop is always the all-sky camera time-lapse, which shows general sky conditions that may have affected my images. It might be cloud, haze or moonlight. You can even spot light haze in the time-lapse that you wouldn't notice in the static all-sky camera image. And if you're lucky, you may spot a meteor or the International Space Station whiz across the sky. The next thing I check is the status report. This is found on the Observatory Information panel down the page. Click the Status Report tab and read the conditions info and the status from the previous night. This panel isn't just useful to check conditions that may have affected your missions from the previous night, but it also helps you plan your missions. You can check the weekly weather forecast to avoid nights with poor weather and improve your chances that your missions will be successful. You can also check the moonlight to help plan what type of objects you schedule. You can click the links to our imaging conditions guide that explains the factors that can affect your images in more detail. There's a stack of other useful information on this page, but I'll let you explore that yourself. But that wraps it up for this week. Until next time, clear skies everyone.